So one example I have is given. You just go into the next page, second page of the file. Okay, that write a program to compute the linear convolution of two finite length sequence. Okay, that sequence are given as x equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 and h is equal to 2, 3, minus 1, 1. Have you seen this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So probably my screen has been shared. So now you
Visible.
can see, yes. So you can see that two sequence we have chosen 1, 2, 3, 4 and 2, 3, minus 1, 1. So the first step is you take the array as x is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 and h is equal to 2, 3, minus 1, 1. So then you see the origin is given by the arrow symbol. The first sequence x, the origin is given as at the first starting value, that is at n is equal to 0. That is the origin. And here 2, 3, minus 1, 1. Okay. Here origin is at second value, second element. So the starting value of n is equal to here minus 1. Okay, for h. Starting value of n is equal to minus 1 for h. And starting value of x is equal to n is equal to 0, the origin itself. Okay. So how will you give this input? By taking the input as input, p1 is equal to input, then enter the position of 0 in first vector. So position of 0 or origin. So you just manually enter the position of 0, that n is equal to 0. Okay. Then p2 point to input, enter the position of 0 in second vector, that is at starting value as uh, p2 is how much at second position. Here they have done in this way that the position of 0 is at n is equal to, according to the array element they have given as second, n is equal to 2. Okay. Here the second element represents the origin. Okay. And here first element represents the origin. So accordingly you have to enter the position of the origin. Okay. So then you calculate the length of x and h. These are important because you know that total length of the signal will be sum of the two length minus 1. Total length of the signal after convolution, or total length of the sequence after convolution of two sequence, is L1 plus L2 minus 1. And here they have chosen two variables, D and M. Okay. So D plus M minus 1 would be the total length of the sequence. So now they have used some logic, okay, how to find the summation formula. Okay, that formula, that is this formula. This formula, how we calculate it depends totally on you. How will you proceed? Okay. So you can take k is the first value, then x1 is x and x2 is h. Okay. So either you may reverse the value of h, okay, or you can shift the value of h. It depends on you how you will apply the logic. But the simplest way is just that is written here, that uh, first they have found the length t plus m minus 1. So k, they have taken one variable, okay, and y is the output. Okay. Y is the output, or on y is the variable where the result of convolution will be stored. Okay. The result of convolution will be stored in y, whose length will be uh, this length, sum of the lengths of two sequence minus 1. But at individual positions of that variable y, we have to assign the value. So we are assigning the value uh, so first so we have to assign the values at individual locations of the output variable y, where the results of convolution will be stored. So one by one we will calculate and assign the value. Just try to understand the process. Yeah. Try to understand the logic. So first value is initialized as 0, yk, that is k, when k is equal to 1, that time uh, the first value is stored as 0. Okay. And then we rotate the variable using for loop for I is equal to 1 to d. Okay. D is what? It is the length of sequence x. So each and individual value of x will be considered. Okay. So first I is equal to 1, that means first value we take, okay, of x. Then j is equal to another for loop, j is equal to 1 to m, that we take the values of h, variable h individually, where m is the length of the variable h. Then two for loops are assigned. Then if k is equals to 1 plus j minus 1, that is the logic each time should be followed. So k is now 1 and I is 1, okay, and j is 1. So 1 plus 1 minus 1, so it is 1. So k is equal to 1, and then it will be calculated. When k will match with this value, this convolution will be calculated. Otherwise, it will not be calculated. That's why some condition is provided. Condition is given that if k is equal to this one, then only it will be calculated. Okay. So the I and j take in different values. Okay, so they may be more than that. Then they may be uh, more, or they may not match, okay, with the desired value of k. So that's why this condition is provided. If you don't give, then it will calculate, but it will show some error. Some index error will be there. You have to do it yourself, then you will understand. Then x of I into h of j. Okay. So x1 into h1 is calculated. Okay, x1 into h1. So and at the same time you have to remember the formula for convolution. Okay, formula for convolution is what? Earlier in theory I have shown you that this is, suppose this is the array x, this is array h. Okay, so then first h is multiplied with each and every value of 2. So h is the weight. Okay, generally it is what LTI system. So unit impulse response is added. Okay, unit impulse response is weighted and added. That is the according to the formula for linearity and super time invariance. Okay, so each time this is weighted and added. So this is h1 into x1. Then so this first variable is, say this is 1 2 3 4 5. Can say this is 1 2 3. So say this is 1 2 3 4 5 and this is 1 2 3. So first variable is x1 into h1. So both are calculated, then they are added with 0. So that is done here. Where? Yes, that is done here. x1 and h1 is calculated. Then this is added with 0. The next value is j is 2. Okay, j is 2. So then x1 into h2 would be calculated. x1 into h2. So x1 into h2 would be what? This is, if you go through this way, that reverse, you if you interchange x and h, okay, then you will see that accordingly this table, this is h1 into x1 and this is h2 into x1. The first variables you see is h2 into x1. So that is x1 into h2 is calculated. x1 into h2 is calculated. Okay. Then then this is added with the previous value stored in y1. Okay. So so here, but we have to verify the conditions that k is equal to 1 now. So if k is, whether k is 1 or not, so now j is 2. Okay, j is equal to 2 since it is incremented. So 1 plus 2, okay, minus 1. So 3 minus 1, so it is 2. So it does not match. K is equal to 1. So but this value is 2, so it does not match, so this will not be calculated. So initial value is stored now. So that means according to this formula, this is stored 2 and this is kept here 2, first element. Second element is, now we again start with k is equal to 2. Okay, so k is equal to 2 means this plus this will be performed. Okay, 4 plus 1. So that means h2 into x1 plus or x1 into h2, okay, plus uh, plus x1 into h2 plus which one? This is h1 into x3. This will be calculated. No, this one. x2 into h1 and this is x2 into h2 into x1 and this is h2 into x2, h2 into x2, sorry, h1 into x2, h1 into x2, and h2 into x1. So x1 and x2 are varying. So this way, you see that next week again this I and j will be initialized to 1 and k is equal to 2. So now k is equal to again 1, but this is not matched. So the next it will go to the next value. So j will be now incremented with 2 by 1. So it is j is 2 now. So it is 1 plus 2 minus 1. So now k, earlier it was 2. So 2 and 2 are match each other. So then it will be evaluated by how that x is equal to 1 and h is equal to 2. Okay. x1 and h2 are now calculated. x1 and h2. So 4 will be calculated now. Then next value is how much? J is equal to 3. So then it will not be calculated. So this way it will again come to what value? So this so I now the value of I will be incremented. Okay. So now I will be equal to 2 and 2 plus and j is equal to 1. So 2 plus 1, 3 minus 1. So it is 2. Now they are matching. So now it is x equal to 2 and h is equal to 1. So x2 and h2 1 will be calculated. That means this value. Then they will be added. Okay. Then they will be added. So this way you just go through all the steps. Okay. You can even write the whole table using the indexes, not value. Then you will find that this way actually the table this way it is calculated. Okay. And finally you have to write the points p1 plus p2 minus 1 display positions of 0 is at ये जहाँ पे कैलकुलेट हो गया p डिस्प्ले हो जाएगा. ठीक है. उसमें एरे जब y का एरे कैलकुलेट हो जाएगा सब p का इनिशियल ओरिजिन डिस्प्ले हो जाएगा. फिर आउटपुट yn डिस्प्ले होगा. y होगा एक्चुअली output of yn. Yes, it is the statement. Display the whole y array will be calculated and displayed. Then using subplot, okay, then you can calculate, and this graph is given here. Okay, then you see the stem commands is used. Now some property. Have you understood this? Have you understood the method to calculate convolution?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, but you have to go through it and do it yourself by yourself. Otherwise, you won't be able to understand. Okay. You may use your own logic. Okay. So now, some two property you have to verify that. Write a program to generate a function to find the linear convolution of any two finite sequence and call the function to check the properties of convolution. And call the function to check the properties of convolution. So commutative properties what x and h, that is equal to h and x. Associative property x and h convolution with convolution h1 gives you x convolution h of convolution h1 distributed property X convolution H plus H1 gives you X convolution H plus X convolution H1. Given that X is equal to this one 1, 2, 3, 4 and H1 is equal to 2, 3, 4, 5 and H is equal to 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. So you just put the then you have to, so first you write the formula for convolution function using function call. So define the function as f is equal to this convo a comma b, that we are not using the inbuilt function, we are creating the function convo. Okay, so convo a comma b. So then in that function, but you have to know that how to save this function. Okay, so the name of the function should be convo. The file name should be convo, otherwise it will not run. So your main program is this one, will be another one where you will use convo functions that you have created. And when you will MATLAB will see this convo functions, he will search for a file with name this convo. Okay, so you have to save the file name of this function or any function as convo that you are writing here. Okay. So f is equal to convo a comma b. Okay. Then under that you write any functions. Okay. So the same this thing is the same method that is discussed, that is written there. Okay. Just use this, and each time now you verify the property that under the main function, that is here, you just write the array xh h1, okay, these three, and then convo perform convolutions of x and x, okay, individual. Now if both y1, the results, their results are stored in variable y1 and y2, if they are same y1 and y2, okay, then you write commutative property is satisfied, else commutative property is not satisfied, display. Then another variable you calculate convo y1 comma h. Okay, so that means x h. Okay, so to perform the associative property is that, what is associative property? Associative property is x convolution h, then their result will be again convolution with h1. It should match with the convolution h of h with convolution x. So all this is calculated in the first property x and h. So we will use that. So here convolutions they have calculated between y1 and h. So y1 is what? X convolution h. Yes, x convolution h. So y1 and h is performed. Similarly, h and h1 convolution is performed using the same functions that we have used, created. And y4 is what? The result will be convolved with x, and they will be matched. If y3 convolution y is equal to y5, then it is associative, satisfied, otherwise not. Similarly, you calculate the convolutions, the required convolution according to the property of convolutions, which property, that is distributive property. Okay, so you apply this, and when the results will match, then you should write that distributed property is satisfied. Okay, so this way you do. today. Start doing it